The NFL draft is almost here, which means it's time to cook up another Chiefs mock draft here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's show. And on today's show, as we are just mere days away from the 2023 NFL draft, I have done a full 7-round mock, including a big trade at the front here that we will get to momentarily. And I think Kansas City could be a team that trades up in the first round, so I wanted to make that happen for you guys. So that is how we are kicking off this mock draft. Trade alert. I'm moving up with the Baltimore Ravens, a team the Chiefs have traded with before, obviously, with Orlando Brown. Chiefs move up to 22, give up 31, 95, and then also 166. 31 and 95 just wasn't quite enough on the mock or on the draft trade chart. If you're going to move up in round one, you got to pay a slight premium. So I threw in a 5th rounder as well for the Chiefs to move up from 31 to 22. And I like this selection a lot. Myles Murphy, the edge out of Clemson, who could certainly go higher. He was still available here on this Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator. And I think he's a guy that if he can reach his untapped potential, he could be a 10 to 15 year really good pass rusher. Clemson player, 6.5 sacks last year, 1 forced fumble. At times, didn't make the play, but he was consistently in the backfield near the top of the country in pressures. And what I like about Myles Murphy is right away he's going to be a good run defender. He checks out as a run defender right away. He's 6'5", 270, can set the edge there. He's an incredible athlete. And if you look at this depth chart too, I don't think there'd be a lot of pressure to just come in and play a huge role right away. Like ideally, guys you draft in the first round, you want them to start, but we saw George Karlaftis. He was kind of a rotation player early on, and then mid-season really cranked it up and kind of took off the rest of the year. I think Murphy at 22 would be great value. He's a proven run defender, has the upside as a pass rusher. This guy ran, I think it was a 4.49 at 270 pounds at the combine. I mean, he is massive. He can move. He's a freak athlete. He just needs to fine-tune his pass rushing skills a little bit, which I think with NFL coaching, he'll be able to do that. And again, at worst, I think he's a really good run defender, like a DeMarcus Lawrence type who stops the run and is a solid pass rusher as well. Now, name a player that you would trade up for in this NFL draft. Like I just traded for Myles Murphy. Would you rather trade up for someone else, like a Broderick Jones or a Paris Johnson or maybe a Quentin Johnston, a Jackson Smith and Jigba? Let me know. Drop a name in the chat here that you would move up to trade up for. Next up, Cedric Tillman, round 2, pick number 63, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. He's kind of the forgotten man out of Tennessee because Jalen Hyatt's obviously been drawing a lot of buzz. Really good college player for the Volunteers. He obviously had a better 2021, but that's because he had an ankle injury in 22 that caused him to miss about half the season. But you look at his 21 campaign, 17 yards a catch. The big plays are there, a long of 70, had over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. He can challenge you vertically. He can go over the middle of the field with his 6'3", 210-pound frame. I think he's got a chance to be a number 1 in the NFL, but at worst, I think he'd be a 2 or 3. I like the size. I like the speed, even though it's not elite. It's good enough, and I think he would give you a different look on this offense, more of that big physical guy that can also stretch the field vertically. I think he would probably plug in and just be kind of a rotation guy as a rookie with the hope of being a high-level starter down the road. I think in round 2, the value is pretty good. Let's get to 42,000 subscribers here on the Chiefs Report. Our draft coverage is heating up with the NFL draft set to kick off next Thursday night. Don't miss any of it. Mock drafts. We'll do a fresh draft targets video, maybe some draft sleepers. Be on the lookout here. Let's get to 42,000 subs before the draft if we can. All right, next up here, no 3rd round pick because I made the trade there in round 1. Kobe Turner in round 4, pick number 121, the defensive tackle out of Wake Forest. I like this kid, man. Graded out really well with Pro Football Focus. Only had 2 sacks, but he had a bunch of pressures, good run stopper, 92.2 grade in the ACC. That's pretty damn good. I've seen some people call him just a poor man's Kalijah Kancey because the stature is kind of similar, undersized, but pretty athletic. I like Turner as a rotation defensive lineman. I think he can play some edge in a 4-3. He can play some 3-tech, rotate in there. He's not that different than a guy like Tershawn Wharton, who went undrafted, but Turner was a better college player. I think he could come in, be a quality rotation guy. You lost Kalen Saunders in free agency. Come in and help replace some of that production. If you love the NFL draft, go subscribe to our draft-only YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 5,000 subs over there before the NFL draft. We're just over 800 subs away from 5,000. We've been bringing you draft coverage over there. Some Chiefs draft videos there as well. So if you want more Chiefs draft content, check us out over there. It's youtube.com/chatnfl. More draft videos to come between now and next Thursday. All right, elsewhere in the 4th round, Luke Schoonmaker, the tight end out of Michigan. I get him at 134 overall. I really like this tight end draft. Now, he's not one of the top end guys. Like, he's not a Darnell Washington or a Dalton Kincaid, but I think, Noah Gray, a guy who went in the 4th round compared to Luke Schoonmaker, I think Schoonmaker has much more potential as a receiving threat. I mean, he had 418 yards this past season for the Wolverines, 3 touchdowns, and that was a team that used 2 or 3 different tight ends throughout the season, and I think Schoonmaker could come in, be a tight end 2-3 type as a rookie, and then I'm not saying he'd be the heir apparent to Kelsey. I don't think he's that talented, but come be a part of this rotation because I don't think the Chiefs are going to carry a fullback this year. I think Noah Gray and or Blake Bell will handle some of the fullback duties as Michael Burton signed with Denver, so I do think there's room for another tight end. Like I said, this draft is a great tight end class, and not just at the top. There's some good depth here, too, with guys like Schoonmaker, so keep an eye on that. I think late in the 4th round here, the value's good, and he's a guy that I think can contribute as a rookie. I really do. I think as a receiving threat, needs to improve as a blocker, but as a receiving threat, could give you some snaps right away. What do you guys think? Should the Chiefs draft a tight end this year? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. I would like to see it happen because I like this tight end draft, but get your thoughts down below. Corey Trice here in the 6th round, and listen, I'd be shocked if he fell this far, but in this mock he did. The value's just too good, man. Like, Brett Veach has a good track record of finding starting caliber corners in the 4th round and later. L'Jarius Sneed, one of the best slot corners in the NFL, obviously. Jalen Watson and Josh Williams last year were day 3 picks. They both got a lot of starting reps. I think Corey Trice could do the same. 6'3", over 205 pounds, 2 picks, 10 breakups last year. The athleticism is elite. If he's on day 3, solid day 3 prospect, man. Could he sneak into this day 2? I doubt it. I think 6th round is probably wishful thinking here, but he was available, and I can't control the simulators. I try to keep it as realistic as possible. And look, when you get into day 3, guys could slide, so maybe he would be one of those. But I think 4th round or later, to be honest, for Trice would be great value. And I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson in the 6th round would be incredible value. I've seen him get some round 4 buzz. I could see him going a little earlier. I think he's kind of established himself as the 6th quarterback prospect in this class. That's after the big 4 guys. Then Hendon Hooker is QB5. I think DTR is that 6th guy. Really productive 5th-year senior season for UCLA. Completed almost 70% of his passes. He's dual threat guy. Rushed for almost 650 and 12 extra touchdowns. Threw for 27. And with Chad Henne retiring, we've talked about this before. I think we even hit DTR before on this show. I think getting competition for Shane Buechele makes sense. And I like Shane Buechele. I do. I think he deserves the opportunity to win the backup quarterback job. He made this roster, or made this team as a UDFA, first on the practice squad and then onto the 53-man, and he's been around for 2 years. I think he deserves that opportunity, but I don't think you roll into camp with these 3 quarterbacks. Olodokun, he's an extreme project. I think drafting a guy on day 3 makes way too much sense, and a guy like DTR could be a fun developmental guy as a dual threat backup quarterback. Who do you think would be the better backup? Type SB for Shane Buechele, DTR for Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think DTR definitely has better potential. Buechele obviously has the edge and experience here, but let me know, SB or DTR. All right, and we'll kind of reveal these last 2 quickly here. O'Shawn Mathis, the edge out of Nebraska, transferred from my alma mater, TCU, to Nebraska this past year. and was okay. Had a few sacks. I've always liked his size and athleticism. Has never really reached his full potential. 6'5", 250 though. He's got pretty good size. I think round 7, that's good value. And then Jake Witt, the offensive tackle out of Northern Michigan. I talked about him on our Bears channel, and he is an interesting player, man. I mean, he was a college basketball player at another small school in Michigan. Transferred because of his major. Wasn't even playing sports. Was a dual sport athlete in college. Got the itch to play football again. Played tight end his first year at Northern Michigan. COVID season hits. The next year, there's injuries. They need help at tackle, and he's become this guy who might get drafted. I mean, it's a great story. Good athleticism with that basketball background. I think is a really deep developmental guy that you could probably stash on the practice squad here. Would be a fun player for the Kansas City Chiefs. Grade this mock draft A, B, C, D, or F. How do you guys feel I did on this mock? Obviously, the Chiefs have 10 picks. I made 8 because of that trade up in round 1, but I was a fan of doing that. Here's a recap of our selections here. Myles Murphy, the edge out of Clemson, moving up from 31 to 22. I get Cedric Tillman, the Tennessee receiver, in round 2. No third-round pick. Kobe Turner in round 4, the defensive tackle out of Wake, and then Michigan tight end Luke Schoonmaker in the 4th round as well. A couple of 6th-round picks, Purdue corner Corey Trice and UCLA quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and then a couple of 7th-rounders, O'Shawn Mathis, the Nebraska edge, and Northern Michigan offensive tackle Jake Witt going there in the 7th round. There you have it. There's our Chiefs mock draft with trades. We'll probably have one more mock draft drop next week before the NFL draft, so be on the lookout for that. We'll have some other draft content between now and then as well. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. This is the channel to be at with the NFL draft just around the corner.